Imagine stepping into a world where the master of suspense himself, John Carpenter, is back to haunt our screens. Could this be the horror revival we've been craving? Dive into the thrilling news that John Carpenter is set to executive produce a brand new supernatural horror anthology series, blending chills with deep societal reflections. But here's where it gets intriguing. With his storied past in the genre, is this project destined for cult status, or will it stir up debates about what true horror should look like in today's world? Let's rewind to the early 1990s, when cable TV giants were battling for supremacy in the horror space. Showtime, eyeing the roaring success of HBO's anthology series Tales from the Crypt, decided to jump into the fray. They enlisted the talents of acclaimed genre filmmaker John Carpenter and his wife and producing partner Sandy King to craft their own anthology series titled Body Bags. Carpenter took the director's chair for what were planned as the opening 2 episodes, and he recruited fellow horror legend Tobe Hooper, known for his iconic work in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, to helm the third. Picture this. An anthology series that's a collection of self-contained stories, each with its own eerie tale, unlike a traditional ongoing series with recurring characters. To make it even more captivating, Carpenter himself hosted as the coroner, delivering over-the-top performances that added a layer of macabre humor. Alas, Showtime pulled the plug unexpectedly, shelving the idea despite the promising footage. Undeterred, the team stitched together the 3 completed episodes into a standalone feature film anthology called Body Bags, released in 1993. This format, often called an anthology, allows creators to explore diverse themes without long-term commitments, making it perfect for horror, where each story can stand on its own spine-tingling merits. Fast forward a decade, and Showtime tried again with Masters of Horror, an anthology where both Carpenter and Hooper lent their genius, producing episodes that fans still cherish today. And this is the part most people miss. Now, according to The Hollywood Reporter, Carpenter is at it once more. He signed on to executive produce a fresh series fittingly dubbed John Carpenter Presents, developed through Elevation Pictures, created and led by showrunners Michael Amo, Pure the Listener, and Will Pascoe, Orphan Black, The Absentia. The inaugural season unfolds in the isolated Alaskan wilderness. Here, a varied ensemble of characters confronts a terrifying blend of supernatural phenomena, like ghosts or unexplained forces, and existential dread, probing the underlying phobias and societal tensions that plague us in the modern era. Think of existential terror as that deep-seated fear of the unknown, perhaps amplified by real-world anxieties like isolation or climate change, making the stories relatable yet profoundly unsettling. The series promises to emulate Carpenter's signature style, stark visuals that build tension through shadows and silence, paired with a haunting musical score that underscores the horror. For beginners in horror, Carpenter's influence is like a blueprint. Think of his films such as Halloween or The Thing, where suspense comes from what's implied rather than shown, drawing viewers into the fear. Christina Piavessin from Elevation Pictures shared her enthusiasm. We're thrilled to launch into the television space with the master of horror, John Carpenter. Will and Michael bring deep experience in writing and showrunning, and we can't be more excited for this creative team to bring this series to audiences. Carpenter and his wife Sandy King will oversee as executive producers via their company, Storm King Productions, with Amo and Pascoe also in that role. But here's where it gets controversial. Can John Carpenter Presents truly recapture the magic of what Body Bags might have become if it had aired as intended, or match the heights of Masters of Horror? Some fans argue that Carpenter's touch is timeless, ensuring a fresh take on horror that respects the genre's roots while evolving. Others might contend that modern audiences, desensitized by endless streaming scares, need something bolder to shock them. Is this series a respectful nod to classics, or does it risk feeling derivative in a crowded field? And let's not forget the debate around anthology formats. Are they the best way to deliver horror in TV, allowing for varied storytelling, or do they sometimes lack the emotional depth of serialized narratives? As we eagerly await its release, it's hard not to get pumped about how this will unfold. Will it honor Carpenter's legacy, or perhaps reinvent it for a new generation? What do you think? Does John Carpenter Presents sound like the kind of chilling anthology you'd binge-watch? Is Carpenter still the king of horror, or is it time for fresh voices to take the throne? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear if you agree, disagree, or have your own take on what makes horror unforgettable. About the author, horror news editor. Favorite movies: the Friday the 13th franchise, Kevin Smith movies, the films of George A. Romero, especially the initial Dead trilogy, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1-2, Flesh Eater, Intruder, Let the Right One In, Return of the Living Dead, The Evil Dead, Jaws, Tremors, From Dusk Till Dawn, Phantasm, Halloween, The Hills Have Eyes, the Back to the Future trilogy, Dazed and Confused, the James Bond series, Mission Impossible, the MCU, and so much more. Likes: movies, horror, 80s slashers, podcasts, animals, traveling, Brazil, the country, the Cinema Wasteland Convention, classic rock, Led Zeppelin, Kevin Smith, George A. Romero, Quentin Tarantino, the Coen brothers, Richard Linklater, Paul Thomas Anderson, Stephen King, Elmore Leonard, James Bond, Tom Cruise, Marvel Comics, the Grindhouse Drive-In era.